Decluttering is often portrayed as a simple, refreshing process. Just sort through your belongings, decide what to keep, and let go of the rest. But for seniors, it's far more than that. It's an emotional journey, one that few people truly understand until they're in the middle of it. Every object has a story. That old rocking chair in the corner, it's not just furniture. It's where you held your grandchild for the first time. The set of fine china gathering dust in the cabinet, it's a reminder of family dinners, of laughter, of a time when the house was full. The idea of letting go of these things isn't just about losing an object. It feels like losing a part of yourself. Family and friends may encourage you to just get rid of it, thinking they're helping, but they don't see what's really happening. They don't feel the weight of those memories pressing down as you pick up an old photo album or a faded concert ticket. They don't realize that decluttering isn't just a physical act, it's an emotional one, forcing you to confront the reality of time passing, of people who are gone, of chapters in your life that are closing. No one warns you about the grief that can come with this process. No one tells you that some days you'll sit in the middle of a room full of boxes, paralyzed by indecision, feeling like you're erasing your own history. And then there's the pressure. If you wait too long, someone else might have to do it for you. If you move to a smaller home or assisted living, the decision is no longer entirely in your hands. That urgency only makes it harder. Rushing through decluttering can lead to regret. Letting go of something too soon only to wish you had kept it. But here's what no one tells you. It's okay to feel this way. It's okay to take your time, to honor your memories, to sit with each item and acknowledge its place in your story before deciding what to do with it. Decluttering is not just about making space in your home. It's about making peace with the past while preparing for the future. And that takes time. One of the hardest truths about decluttering as a senior is realizing that much of what you've saved for your family may not be wanted. You've spent a lifetime collecting, preserving, and caring for things you believed would be meaningful to your children and grandchildren. The beautiful china set, the antique furniture, the boxes of family heirlooms, all of it was kept with the thought that one day it would be passed down and cherished. But when the time comes, you may be met with polite declines or even outright refusal. It's not because your family doesn't care about you or your history, but because their lives, homes, and priorities are different. Younger generations live in a world of minimalism, mobility, and practicality. They don't have the space for bulky furniture or fine china they'll never use. They don't want cabinets full of knickknacks or boxes of old letters. The sentimental value that means everything to you doesn't always translate to them. It's not personal, it's just a shift in lifestyle. And yet, no one prepares you for the hurt that comes with hearing, "I just don't have room for this," or "I don't know what I'd do with it." What makes it even harder is that you held on to these things out of love. You saw them as part of your legacy, something that would keep your memory alive in the generations to come. Realizing that these items may end up donated or sold instead of treasured can feel like a rejection, not just of the objects, but of the stories they carry. It's an emotional adjustment, one that can be painful and frustrating. But there is another way to look at it. Instead of focusing on who doesn't want what, focus on where your cherished belongings can truly be appreciated. Maybe a historical society would love your old letters, or a young couple starting out would be thrilled to have your well-made furniture. Perhaps your fine china could bring joy to someone who actually hosts dinners with it. Letting go doesn't have to mean loss. It can mean giving these items a second life where they will be used and appreciated. Decluttering isn't just about clearing space. It's about acceptance. It's about understanding that your value isn't in the things you leave behind, but in the memories you create and the love you've shared. One of the biggest surprises for many seniors when decluttering is realizing that selling valuables is much harder than expected. After years of collecting antiques, fine china, or rare collectibles, you may assume that these items hold significant financial worth. Maybe you've seen similar pieces on TV shows, at auctions, or in antique shops selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But when the time comes to sell, the reality can be disappointing. The market has changed, and what was once in high demand may now be difficult to even give away. You may reach out to antique dealers, auction houses, or online marketplaces, only to hear that interest is low or that offers are far below what you anticipated. Collectible items that once had value, stamp collections, Hummel figurines, ornate furniture, no longer attract the same buyers they once did. Younger generations often prefer modern, minimalist styles and don't want large, heavy pieces that require extra care. Even valuable silverware or china sets, once considered essential for formal dining, are now seen as impractical. This can be frustrating and even heartbreaking. These are not just objects, they represent memories, investments, and even sacrifices. Maybe you saved for years to buy that antique armoire, believing it would appreciate in value. Maybe you inherited jewelry, expecting it to remain a family treasure. The idea that something you saw as precious is now just another item on the resale market can feel like a loss in itself. Another challenge is the time and effort required to sell these items. Finding the right buyer, negotiating prices, and dealing with shipping or pickup can be exhausting. Some seniors turn to estate sales or consignment shops, but these often take a significant percentage of the profit, making it even harder to see a meaningful return. Others try online platforms, only to struggle with listing items, handling inquiries, and navigating scams or unreliable buyers. But rather than focusing on financial expectations, it may help to shift perspective. If an item no longer serves you, its value isn't just in the money it brings, but in the space and peace of mind it creates when you let it go. Sometimes donating or passing things on to someone who will genuinely use and appreciate them is more rewarding than a disappointing sale. Decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of unrealistic expectations. Many people think of decluttering as a one-time project, something you do once, finish, and never have to worry about again. The truth is, it's an ongoing process. And for seniors, this can be an unexpected challenge. You might spend weeks sorting through old clothes, furniture, and keepsakes, feeling a sense of relief once it's done, only to realize that more things keep accumulating over time. New paperwork piles up, gifts from family members take up space, and sentimental attachments to certain items don't simply disappear. The cycle continues, and without regular upkeep, clutter can slowly creep back into your life. One of the hardest parts of decluttering is making decisions. In the beginning, it may seem straightforward. Keep what you need, donate what you don't. But as time goes on, the emotional weight of each choice builds. Some days you may feel energized and ready to clear out entire closets. Other days you may find yourself hesitating over a single object, unable to decide whether it stays or goes. The process isn't linear, and it's not always easy. It requires patience, self-compassion, and the understanding that there is no perfect way to do it. Another overlooked challenge is maintenance. Once you've cleared out a space, it takes effort to keep it that way. New items will always find their way in. Holiday gifts, sentimental cards, souvenirs from trips, even everyday things like magazines and household supplies. Without a conscious effort to stay mindful of what you bring into your home, it's easy to fall back into old patterns. This is why decluttering should be approached as a continuous habit rather than a one-time event. For seniors, there's also the added challenge of physical and mental energy. Decluttering takes time and effort, and what once felt manageable can become overwhelming as years go by. This is why it's best to pace yourself. Small, consistent efforts, like setting aside 10 minutes a day to tidy a drawer or dedicating one afternoon a month to reassessing belongings, can make a big difference over time. The goal isn't to achieve a perfectly empty house, but to create a space that feels manageable, comfortable, and free of unnecessary stress. Letting go isn't something you do once and forget. It's a lifelong practice, one that requires balance, awareness, and kindness toward yourself as you navigate the process. In the process of decluttering, especially for seniors, there's an often unspoken reality, the possibility of regret after parting with certain items. While the act of simplifying one's living space can bring a sense of relief and order, it's not uncommon to later feel a pang of loss over something that was given away or discarded. This regret can stem from various sources, be it sentimental attachment, unforeseen utility, or the realization that the item held more significance than initially thought. Consider the story of an individual who, during a decluttering spree influenced by minimalist trends, decided to part with their extensive collection of embroidery supplies. At the time, it seemed like a reasonable decision. After all, those materials had been sitting unused for years. However, years later, a rekindled passion for embroidery led to deep regret over the loss of those cherished supplies. This experience highlights how our interests and needs can evolve, making it challenging to predict what will be important to us in the future. To mitigate such feelings of regret, it's essential to approach decluttering with mindfulness and patience. Rather than making impulsive decisions, take the time to reflect on each item's significance. Ask yourself questions like, does this object hold sentimental value? Have I used it in the past year? Would it be difficult or costly to replace if needed? By carefully considering these factors, you can make more informed choices about what to keep and what to let go. Another effective strategy is the maybe box method. If you're uncertain about an item, place it in a box and store it away for a predetermined period, such as 6 months. If, during that time, you don't find yourself needing or missing the item, it becomes easier to part with it confidently. This approach provides a safety net, allowing for a trial separation before making a final decision. It's also important to recognize that some degree of regret is a natural part of the decluttering process. No method is foolproof, and it's possible to occasionally let go of something only to wish you hadn't. However, many find that the benefits of a decluttered space, such as reduced stress, easier maintenance, and a more organized environment, far outweigh these occasional moments of regret. In the end, decluttering is a deeply personal journey. It's about creating a living space that reflects your current needs and values while honoring your past. By approaching the process thoughtfully and allowing yourself grace, you can navigate the challenges and emotions that come with letting go, leading to a more fulfilling and manageable living environment. One of the biggest mistakes people make with decluttering is waiting too long to start. It's easy to put it off, telling yourself that you'll get around to it later, that there's no rush, that you'll deal with it when the time comes. But the truth is, the earlier you start, the easier and less stressful the process will be. Decluttering when you're in good health, have the time, and can make clear decisions is far better than being forced into it due to downsizing, illness, or other life changes. Yet, many seniors don't realize this until they're in a situation where they no longer have control over the process. Decluttering isn't just about clearing space. It's about preparing for the future in a way that gives you dignity and control. It's about making sure that, when the time comes, you're not burdened by years of accumulation or leaving a stressful task for your family to handle. The earlier you start, the more manageable it will be, and the more peace of mind you'll have knowing that you've made the process as smooth as possible for yourself and your loved ones.